This winter, the stars of USA Track and Field have been heating things up indoors. 2 weeks ago in New York, Lolo Jones announced with an exclamation point that she is back.
And Lolo Jones has come back in emphatic style.
And ready to clear all obstacles in her path. And world champion Jesse Williams' hops took him to heights befitting the world's most famous arena. Last week in Boston, it was Jen Schur who soared, vaulting to yet another American record. Adam Nelson and David Oliver prove they are still forces to be reckoned with.
Gets the edge first.
This week, the world comes to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Allison Felix and a galaxy of American Olympic stars are challenged by Veronica Campbell-Brown and a field loaded with top international talent. It's a sprint to the finish as the Visa Championship Series heads down the home stretch at the 2012 USA Track and Field Classic. The 2012 indoor track circuit has moved to Fayetteville and the University of Arkansas inside the Randall Tyson Indoor Track Center. A nice crowd on hand for this third stop on the Visa Championship Series Tour. And hi everyone, Lewis Johnson along with my team of Olympic announcers, Otto Bolden, Todd Williams. We'll have Dan O'Brien in just a few moments. And we've got some great fields for you here today. But Otto, already a big buzz about the short sprints, maybe an early glimpse at the USA versus Jamaica matchup.
Yeah, Lewis, the buzz is justified because we're going to get to see two of the world's fastest women, Allison Felix, come up against Veronica Campbell-Brown in that women's 60. On the left, you see Veronica Campbell-Brown. She has the last two Olympic titles. Allison Felix has 3 outdoor 200-meter world titles, except the last one when Veronica Campbell-Brown finally got her first world outdoor title. Allison Felix has not run at this event in almost 6 years, but it should be very interesting to see these two young ladies who are used to each other at 200 match up in what I think is Veronica Campbell-Brown's very good event, the 60-meter dash.
And Todd, there are 3 distance events on the docket today, but I know you have a close eye on the men's mile.
I think the men's mile is going to be smoking. Silas Kiplagat, the 22-year-old world championship silver medalist last year. I think he's really going to do some damage today and try to get under 350 if the pace is hot up front. And who's going to challenge him? Leo Manzano, the Texas grad, the 4-time NCAA champion. This is his launch for 2012 to hopefully get him to London come August. And also there's an up-and-comer from Ireland, Kieran O'Lynard, who really has come out of nowhere in the last 12 months. I mean, he went from 341 to 334, finished 10th at the World Championships. This guy is somebody to watch. He won 2 weeks ago in Boston in 355. So keep it going there. And I tell you, he's going to take some pressure off a lot of people. And speaking of pressure, Galen Rupp is going for the 2-mile American record today at 8:10.07. So both races are going to be fast. I'm excited. I'm going to run up to the booth so I can get this checked out and get me a good seat in these stands.
Well, I know it's going to be something to watch. We also have 3 field events being contested here today. And for more on that, let's join the 4th member of our team, Dan O'Brien.
Thanks, Lewis. You know, for years, the field event focus has been on the men's shot put. Well, now it's the ladies' turn. They'll take center stage here in Fayetteville. Jill Camarina Williams and Michelle Carter want to change the perception of U.S. women's shot putting here in America. Camarina Williams was the bronze medalist at the Outdoor World Championships last year, and she's the American record holder. Michelle Carter, though, is the U.S. outdoor champion. They've got completely different styles. They've created a friendly rivalry, and they're pushing each other to new limits. U.S. women's shot putting takes center stage here in Fayetteville.
All right, Dan, ready to take center stage now. The 400 meters. Moments ago, the first heat in that 400. And Otto Bolden, we had a new world leader laid down by Demetrius Pender.
Yeah, the former Texas A&M Aggie, 45.40. So won't the Bahamas be happy about that? New world leader in the 400 meters indoors for Pender.
I think that speaks to the swiftness of this track here inside the Randall Tyson facility as we take a look now at the records for the 400 meters. Once again, this is a very fast track, 200 meters, the banked oval. And who's going to take advantage of that? Probably Karani James, the early favorite to win the gold medal at the 2012 Olympic Games.
And that's based on his 2011 season when he was undefeated outdoors. His personal best, Lewis, is on this track, 44.80. In fact, 4 of the 5 fastest times ever run on this track, so we expect fireworks in this 400. Next to him is Jamal Torrance, who made the U.S. team in 2011 when Jeremy Warner was injured. Did not make the finals, but he was indoor champion for the U.S. 3 years ago in 2009.
And a look at the rest of the field here. The first 2 lanes are open. That's typical in a qualifying heat in the 400. You try to keep those inside lanes open, but there's Calvin Smith. He's got great pedigree in sprinting. His father was the 2-time world outdoor champion in the 200, former world record holder in the 100 meters. But Karani James ready to have a moment.
And Karani James has a nice streak now. As I said, undefeated outdoors. His last bad race was a fall that he had at the NCAA championships in 2011. So all of Grenada looking to see their young star in this 400. David Neville, the Olympic bronze medalist from Beijing, on the outside.
And a fair start in this men's 400 meters. They will stay in their lanes through the first turn and then break for the inside. Karani James already with a nice lead.
Yeah, and in Boston, they let Karani James get to the lead early, and nobody was able to challenge him. This looks like more of the same. The youngster from Grenada has seized control, and now everyone has to wonder, how do I get by the young man who was the 2nd fastest in the world outdoors? Remember the time to beat 45.40 by Pinder. And let me tell you that Karani James is already well on pace to better that.
And Karani James taking the final bend, looking to best that time of 45.40 from Pinder, now stretching it out and reaching for the line. 45.16, and so Karani James will win the 400 meters.
So a new world's fastest time for Karani James as he runs that 45.16. And this looked, as I said, Lewis, very similar to how he ran in Boston. From the gun. Very conservative for maybe the first 50 as David Neville to his outside stretches out. But then look at that move. Right to the front. And now everyone else knows it's going to be a long evening because this 19-year-old finishes so well that if you let him have this lead early, you give yourself a really, really tough task. He does not typically hand back leads. And here we are with just about 50 meters to go. Karani James in the lead. You see Calvin Smith in 2nd. That's Jamal Torrance in 3rd. And now it's just about the clock. And would he run the world's fastest time? And he does, 45.19. for Karani James.
And let's go down to Dan O'Brien.
All right, Karani. Advantage or disadvantage, seeing the heat in front of you run, knowing what you had to beat?
It's always an advantage. I mean, not just knowing the time what they ran, because I know the whole field was a lot of great quality guys that are very capable of doing great things. So yeah, of course it helped me.
You're the odds-on favorite right now early on. You feeling the pressure?
For what?
To the 2012 Olympic gold. Did you know that?
I don't think I'm the favorite. I think, the defending champion is always the favorite, and I mean, there are a lot of great guys out there, a couple guys that didn't run last year due to injury, but, man, I'm just going to go out there and represent my country and try to perform my best.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Well, Dan, Karani James has won the hearts of a lot of people because of what you just saw right there. See his humility because he is the favorite to win the gold. Karani James wins in 45.19. Back in a moment. The USA Track and Field Classic is brought to you by Nike and by Visa, proud sponsor of Team USA. More people go with Visa. And we're back in Fayetteville, Arkansas as the Visa Championship Series continues, the 3rd stop in this 2012 season. And you're probably familiar with the rules of how this Championship Series works. All the athletes trying to gain as many points as possible because they want to win that $25,000 courtesy of Visa in 2 weeks. And last weekend in Boston, it was Jen Schurer making history at the Reggie Lewis Center with this American record in the pole vault. That was 16 feet on her first attempt, and look at her face. And Adam Nelson tied for the Visa Championship Series lead with an impressive mark in the shot put. And so Schur and Nelson having an excellent indoor season. As we take a look at the current standings, Schur leading, Lolo Jones, Dee Dee Trotter following her. And then a tie at the top of the leaderboard with Terrence Trammell, Adam Nelson, and Ryan Whiting from the shot put now standing in third. And now on the track, the women's 1,500-meter run, 7.5 laps of this 200-meter banked oval. Take a quick look at the records. And in this field, an excellent field, we've got Tissam Lakoud of Morocco, finished fourth in the 1,500 meters at last year's World Outdoor Championships. And there are some of the other names who will be competing here. Lakoud has really had an excellent season. Also a finalist in the 1,500 at the 2008 Olympics. Finished 12th there in Beijing. And she is the Moroccan national record holder. And a good start now in this 1,500 meters. 7.5 laps. Probably taking you, Todd Williams, back to your days of doing some running, huh?
It's bringing back some good memories. And, you know, the more I think about this race, and it's really an early season startup for some of these ladies. And Anna Pierce is one that's trying to get some confidence. You know, she was on fire for a couple years. And I think after hearing some of her interviews and talking, that she's using these races to get that confidence back, to get her back to the level to make another Olympic team.
And speaking of getting back, the rabbit has really gone out here. There's a huge gap between her and there's the field. So either the rabbit needs to slow down to help bring these ladies along, or either the pace is too slow. We'll watch it early. But Anna Pierce, one of those names you mentioned in the field, along with Trenair Mosier, who won 3 consecutive U.S. 1,500-meter titles from 2005 to 2007. There's Mosier on the left in the red. Well, they've all got on red and black, don't they?
Yeah, and it looks like the pacer. I mean, this is when the pacer needs to slow back and pull these ladies along. I mean, because you're looking at a 405, 406 type pace. So she knows at one peek over her shoulder that they're not going with her. She needs to back off and let them get pulled along.
And what may be interesting here is you see Lakoud on the inside rail to the right of your screen now, as Brenda Martinez now steps into the lead. You wonder if Lakoud was trying to hold the pace back for a later kick, but now Brenda Martinez, who has had an excellent season, won the mile at the U.S. Open in New York 2 weeks ago in a lifetime best, now realizing that it was too slow. Martinez now pulling up into second in the all-black.
And I think during the Olympic year, you always see these emerging runners that come out, and Brenda Martinez is one of those ladies that, you know, she's here. She's like, if I'm going to be this fit this early, I'm going to run, and I'm going to run hard.
Martinez now pulling up behind the rabbit. She had an excellent career at California Riverside there. She was a 4-time Big West outdoor champion while she was there. Also won 3 800-meter titles. So Martinez, young, only 24, but really beginning to break onto the scene here. And now really beginning to make these other ladies back in this second group make a decision about the type of pacing that they're going to have the rest of the way. Look at the gap that Martinez has put on this field.
And you know, the pack's going to have to make a decision here pretty soon. We're heading up on the 800-meter mark here, and a 2:13, 2:14 through 800. That's about a 4:28 mile pace, which drops up into the 4:05, 4:06 for 1,500. So the pack knows that this is no joke, and they've also done the research and know that Brenda ran well last week, so she's no pretender. She's out there and she could take it all the way to the tape.
So coming up on 3 laps to go, and Martinez has really stung the field, and the question is, will they come for her in that second pack? Martinez is out in the lead. Bogali, Lakoud, Hilali, Higginson, and Vaughn.
And I think this is where you are going to see the pack get together. They're going to group up, and they're going to say, look, let's get after it. We've got 3 laps to go. Martinez put it out there. I mean, at least she gave it the honest effort to try to break the pace and try to get away. But I think the pack is going to swallow her up pretty soon, probably within the next 300 to 400 meters.
Back in that field, Anna Pierce with the red hair, just passing that 2 laps to go mark with the number 6 on her hip, struggling to come back from some illness and sickness. They've really changed her diet, tried to help her recover better, train better, but still doesn't seem to have the legs back, as Brenda Martinez, the 24-year-old, continues to lead here in the women's 1,500 meters.
And I could be wrong, Lewis. I mean, it looks like Brenda's hanging on really strong. I mean, she's got the confidence, and that's what you have to look for in these early season meets. Girls come off the confidence of running earlier races and just really running hard, and she's got away. These girls are going to really have to start kicking.
So under a lap to go now, and Brenda Martinez, who took the lead after a slow early pace, now leads down the backstretch, and now there's a bit of a rush from behind her. Martinez trying to hold on, but beginning to tie up. And Martinez now being passed. And that's Hilali of Morocco, who makes the nice pass. So patient she was, able to make the turn and then outkick Brenda Martinez, who had done all the work.
And Hilali was the world junior champion at 1,500 meters. I mean, you're looking at that. She's run 4:03 for 1,500. She didn't give up. And you know, when she started putting the hammer down on that backstretch, she started to say, I have to take this thing. I got to take this to the finish line. And she had one heck of a sprint in that last 100 meters.
Well, Hilali began to really measure herself, and then you see her now begin to make that move, and Brenda Martinez with the body language that says, I'm tied up, and here it is one more time.
Yeah, she did tie up, and there was no chance that she could regroup and try to pull it back together over the last 50. These girls were sprinting so hard, and they worked together as a group, and that's the scary thing about taking off by yourself early. You're out there, and you're just trying to get to the finish line.
Well, Siham Hilali finished third in the 3,000 meters last weekend in Boston and translates that into a 1,500-meter win here in Fayetteville. She wins it, and a nice race over 1,500 meters, taking the appreciation from the crowd. In the midst of this exciting meet, there are some heavy hearts in the running world, specifically at Nike, as one of their pioneers was lost to cancer on February the 6th. Jeff Hollister was a steeplechaser at the University of Oregon in the mid-60s, then went on to be one of Nike's original employees back in '72. And after a tremendous career, he retired from Nike in 2002 and was diagnosed with cancer shortly after. His life and passing have profoundly affected so many people who were close to him.
He loved the sport. I mean, he lived and breathed the sport. And, you know, Jeff Hollister, you know, more than anybody I've ever seen in my life, is just, you know, a guy that just, he lived for the sport of track and field.
His love of running, definitely, you could tell from, anybody could tell from meeting him that he had a huge passion for the sport. And he was always looking for ways that, you know, he could help, or asking about, you know, if you had any difficulties. He'd give you really positive advice, and it was just really always refreshing talking with him.
Jeff always wanted to know what he could do to help you, even though he was going through the hardest, you know, ordeals more than anybody else. And that, to me, is what really makes Jeff Hollister, you know, my hero. You know, I've seen all the greatest heroes from Nike Sports for the last 30 years, but I'll tell you, not one of them compares to Jeff Hollister.
And in his honor, all of the athletes in this mile named in his honor are wearing special bibs. And Kieran O'Leinard is wearing a special singlet in memory of Hollister. With this race, we pay homage to a pioneer of the sport, the American Jeff Hollister. And now let's go to PA announcer Paul Swangard.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you join us in a moment of silence in memory of a great ambassador for running and the sport of track and field, Jeff Hollister. Thank you very much.
And so these athletes have to tuck the memory of Hollister in their hearts and in their spikes, and as he would have it, it's time to race. And so now the Jeff Hollister men's mile. And a look at the records. Saw the 2012 best. And Silas Kiplagat of Kenya, winner of the mile 2 weeks ago in New York, is one of the favorites, Todd.
Yeah, and he's hit a personal best of 3:49. I mean, the guy can get after it. With a silver medal at the World Championship, I think all the athletes in this field knows that he's the guy that they need to look out, basically look. And then you've got a Daniel Coleman, 3:48 PR for the mile. Personal best at the 2007 Prefontaine. So these guys are looking at him. He finished indoor world champion twice, so, you know, he can get after it as well. Leo Manzano, University of Texas grad, 2008 Olympian, 350 miler in his own right, 356 PR, and again, this is his opener for 2012, so I'm sure he's looking to do big things. Then you have O'Leinard, the up-and-comer, the guy that came out of nowhere in the last 12 months, and he's here to, like he said this morning in the lobby, I'm here to get even more respect and drop my time from 3:55 and see how fast I can push myself.
And so an excellent field here for this men's mile, including the names you mentioned and a couple of other standouts. Amin Lalou of Morocco, a great 800-meter runner, is now running the mile. And again, this race in the memory of Jeff Hollister, who was lost last week, and Nike founder Phil Knight called him the greatest promo man in the history of the sport. And so I know these athletes want to promote his life and what he stood for, not only at the company, but in the world of running, with a great performance here in front of this crowd. Todd, moments before a big race like this, what's going through your mind?
You know, I think these guys really just want to get after it. They know that Jack Bolas, a former University of Wisconsin Badger, set up to run this pace in about 56 through the quarter, or 57, trying to get to 155.
Which is fast.
That's really fast. I mean, it's the low 350 range. So their focus is the gun's going to go off and I'm going to be running. You know, some of the miles are kind of, tactical, but this is not going to be a tactical mile.
Fans reacting to some of the field events as they take their final thoughts here in the men's mile about to start. And they're off in the Jeff Hollister men's mile. 8 laps of the track. And you see them set up in alleys with the cones. And as they get to the backstretch, they'll be able to break toward the inside, actually after this next curve. And then the racing begins. Silas Kiplagat, silver medalist in the 1,500 meters, the metric mile at last year's World Outdoor Championships in Daegu. We expect him to be right there along with Daniel Coleman, silver medalist in the 1,500 meters at the 2006 and 2008 World Indoor Championships. So guys who have incredible experience running at high level here in Fayetteville, running at this Visa Championship Series Tour event. What's your sense of the early pace?
Well, he's getting out after it. I mean, they're going to be coming through the quarter here and 57, 58 seconds, and that's pretty much right on. And you can tell that the pack is already strung out, so that means they're getting out after it. They're running really hard. There's no packing up. I mean, we're going to see a really fast time today. 57.2 through the quarter. That's right on. Pace setter's doing his exact job.
So Jack Bolas, who is responsible for the early tempo, has got a nice little gap. I remember my days of doing the rabbiting. You want to have a little gap to make them work for something, as we see Kieran O'Leinard moving up on the outside, trying to move up his position. There he is.
And in third position is Jeff C., the Ohio State grad. He had a great race at Penn State a few weeks ago, running 3:56, and he's really doing big things in 2012.
You see some early jockeying there as O'Leinard's still back in the back in the red uniform, and he has got the long legs, so you see him move to the outside of that lane to make sure that he's got plenty of space to be able to stretch out. And look at Manzano, the little guy right in front of him, who has so much running experience. Leo Manzano with the number 4 hip bib.
And Leo Manzano over the years is just a really great strategic runner. When he's on, he's on. 157.3 through the 800, so that puts him at 3:53, 3:54 pace, right on what they wanted to. Now, I know that the pack is a little bit off that, but these guys can really hammer down that last 400 meters to get that pace down to low 350s.
So Bolas continues to lead the pace, followed by Ndiku, Brown, C, Kiplagat, Amin Lalou, Coleman, Manzano, and O'Leinard is back there as well. And a little look back there for Bolas as he brings him through with 3 laps to go. He's done an excellent job. And Ndiku, Caleb Ndiku now, who's in the lead. Only 19 years old, the 2010 World Junior Champion at 1,500 meters.
With a 3:49 outdoor mile PR at 18 years old. So
that's incredible,
this kid
isn't it?
can run, and that's the reason this field is the deepest in the history of this event.
So Ndiku with the long legs continues to hold his lead, followed by Daniel Coleman.
2:56.7 through 1,200. So these guys are going to really push hard over the last 400, getting into the low 350s.
What's your sense of what Kieran O'Leinard is doing? You know, he was the winner in Boston last week, ran a lifetime best of 3:56.01. Is he playing rabbit back there in the red?
I think at this type of tempo, I think he's just trying to hang on and get another personal best. He said he wanted some respect, and I think if he can finish hard over this last 200, he's going to earn that respect from the world.
But this is what you know is going to happen with a lap to go. Ndiku, Coleman, Silas Kiplagat, as they now have the top 3 positions. And now beginning to stretch out that lead going down the backstretch. It's Caleb Ndiku, the 19-year-old, really opening up the stride. And Silas Kiplagat of Kenya right there behind him, home straight away. And Kiplagat and Ndiku battle it out, and they're leaning at the tape, and it looks like Silas Kiplagat got the lean right at the tape. So Forrest Ndiku in second, but a nice little hug afterwards because of a great stretch run. And this is the type of running that everyone appreciates here in Fayetteville. O'Leinard finishes in 6th place. And that time by Kiplagat is a new world leader.
And this is kind of a payback for Ndiku and Kiplagat, because Kiplagat was beaten by Ndiku in a 3,000 meter just 2 weeks ago. So he's probably thinking, you're not going to beat me again. So coming down his home stretch, he started the dig, has a little bit more leg speed, especially over the 800 meter distance. So you're seeing that pull through in the last 100. You're seeing his turnover. You're seeing him grinding. Both these guys ran an incredible race with a world lead of 3:52.6 in the 1 mile.
So Silas Kiplagat able to turn on the jets, and he gets a nice victory here in Fayetteville as we go down to Dan O'Brien.
All right, Silas, you did the same thing to Bernard Lagat in the first week, maybe a little payback from last week in Boston. Tell me about your strategy on that last lap.
So in the last lap, I normally plan myself very well so that in the last lap, I see who is in front of me, or if there's anybody, I plan on how to attack him in the final meters or in the cup.
Did you know you had enough to finish him off in the last 50 meters?
Yes, I knew it because I was just feeling it, because I saw my fellow Kenyan athlete. He was stretching, but I was still just relaxing. And then I had to say in myself that in 100 meters, I must beat this guy. And I did it.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So a nice stretch run for Silas Kiplagat, and he takes the win over Ndiku. And a great memory here for Jess Hollister as they really run to honor his life. Kiplagat winning with a new world leading time. Big Monday features a pair of women's college basketball games on ESPN2. At 7 Eastern, number 11 Tennessee hosts 7th ranked Kentucky. This game is also available in spectacular ESPN 3D. Then at 9 Eastern, it's number 3 Connecticut and Oklahoma. Big Monday presented by Bud Light as part of Play for K at Rivalry Week on ESPN2, ESPN3, and also streaming live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. And up next on the track, our first of 2 heats in the men's 60-meter dash. And we take a look at some of these athletes. Otto Bolden in this first heat featuring Richard Thompson.
And he was the first across the line after Usain Bolt in that amazing world record race in Beijing in 2008. But a lot of people looking to see how he starts this year. He's made a change in coaches now with John Smith in LA. And here is Justin Gatlin, the 2004 Olympic champion at 100 meters. Also has good world indoor credentials. He was the champion at 2003. Served the drug suspension for a while, and last year made the U.S. team that went to the World Championships in the 100, did not make the final. And here's a guy on the comeback trail after injury, but of course a huge ovation for him. He spent his collegiate years here at the University of Arkansas, has the world record on this track, but that's at 300. He's not known as a guy who can run these sorts of short distances, so probably just testing his newly rehabbed legs.
And so a look at this field. Most importantly, the top 4 will advance to a final, which will be run later in the afternoon.
And you have some guys in the middle there who can really, really start. When you look at Justin Gatlin and Richard Thompson. Lerone Clark as well from Jamaica. Probably the shortest guy in the field. Very good starter as well. But I really want to see how the switch to John Smith has made an effect on Richard Thompson's form. And he'll have some good competition next to him in the form of Justin Gatlin.
And we must always remember that the false start rule is in effect. 1 false start and you're out. Fair start in this first race, and the top 4 are going to advance to a final later, and Justin Gatlin looking to try and hold on there, but in the middle of the track, it was Lerone Clark and actually Richard Thompson there.
Well, they hit the line just about the same
Exactly.
time.
Clark was in the blue from Jamaica, but Richard Thompson, Lerone Clark, Justin Gatlin finishing in third, and Pyrie of Zambia looks to be in fourth.
Yeah, look at Richard Thompson, fourth from the right. He does not get out ahead of Justin Gatlin, but look at how well he closes. The last 40 meters was all his, and he high steps across the line. And this has to do wonders for his confidence. He looks to be a little bit more muscular, and he is down with Dan.
All right, Richard, the big question was, what kind of start were you going to get now that you're working with John Smith? What did you think about your start?
I think I had a pretty decent start. We started doing some block work last week, and I've been feeling pretty good, so I expected to get a good start today, and I executed well for the rest of the race. So I'm looking forward to the final in an hour.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, let's take one more look at it. Everything unfolded so quickly there.
Yeah, I know Justin Gatlin had to be surprised to see Richard Thompson go by him like that. It's not often someone the caliber of Justin Gatlin gets a lead in a 60 and then sees it evaporate, but that's what happened.
So let's take a look at the final results of this first heat of the men's 60. Richard Thompson wins it at 6:56. Lerone Clark in second, and Justin Gatlin of the United States in 6:61 for third. Gerald Pyrie gets that fourth and final qualifying spot for a feature for the final later on. All right, Otto, we've got a moment here. Let's handicap and look forward to the Olympic Games. Who do you see as being the favorites? There's one obvious.
Well, obviously, when you talk about the 100-meter dash, you start with Jamaica because they now have the Olympic and world champions in Usain Bolt and Johan Blake. Asafa Powell has been there for the past two Olympics but only finished fifth, but we know he is capable on his day of being good. But who can step up and challenge the three young men in your screen? Well, Tyson Gay's coming back from an injury. He is the American record holder, and if he's healthy, he's a factor. Walter Dix, based on his 2011, can certainly be a factor in London. But who else? Maybe Mike Rogers for the United States. Maybe who we just saw get third, Justin Gatlin. What about Darvis Patton? A lot of people feel like Ryan Bailey, who was also with John Smith, may be a factor. And then the rest of the world. There's Richard Thompson. We just saw him win. He certainly has to feel good about his chances with this early season run. Daniel Bailey of Antigua as well. And the guy I like from France, Christophe Lemaitre of France. He was fourth in the World Championships last year.
All right, something to think about as the 2012 season continues to unfold as we go back to the track now for Heat 2 in this men's 60 dash. And one of the names you've mentioned was 34-year-old Doc Patton, a seasoned sprinter looking to still make himself known on the world stage.
Yes, and he has had some not so good luck in the relay, but individually he has had a very, very good career.
And Trell Kimmins.
Now, we talked about how well Justin Gatlin and Richard Thompson start. This is one of the best starters in the world as well. Hasn't quite put it together past the start, but he did make the semifinals you see there at last year's Outdoor World Championships. And here's a young man, Ivory Williams, who a couple years ago had a fantastic year, made the U.S. team, former world junior champion. He has very good credentials as well, 6:51 indoors. Anything around 6.50, you're talking the absolute elite of this event.
And you saw standing there next to Ivory Williams, the 2004 Olympic gold medalist in the 200, Sean Crawford. He's 34, been around the block for a while. Not sure what he'll be able to do with this quick 60-meter dash indoor, but we're about to see. Once again, the top four will advance to the final to join Thompson, Clark, Gatlin, and Pyrie.
I really feel like the first heat had a lot more of the big guns, but this is setting up to be probably a more competitive race. A lot of guys evenly matched in this second of two semifinals. Top four get to the final.
And a fair start in this heat number 2. And Ivory Williams moving away well. And Trell Kimmins in the orange has a nice close there. We'll have to wait and see how it works out. And Kimmins does get the win in this heat number 2. Unofficially 6.60 seconds. And while we adjudicate that, let's look at it again.
It's easy to find Kimmins. He's in the middle in the orange. And he didn't lead all the way, but he had a very nice pickup in the middle and decelerated less at the end. That got him to the tape in first place in 6.60. Patton up for second in 6.63. And they're down with them.
Trail Otto Bolden said, you got a great start. You got to put the race together. You getting closer?
Oh, yeah, I'm getting close. I'm getting close for the finals. Hope everything go well for the finals.
All right, good luck to you.
All right, so Trell Kimmons is going to go back and get himself warmed down and come back to contest that 60 final a little bit later as we go back and take one more look at it. How about the start?
Yeah, Trell Kimmons reacted well to the gun. He always does a good job in his dry phase. Rushed a little bit coming up. He tends to panic a little bit, but this was a very solid race for him. If I'm him, I go back into that warm-up area very confident about my chances in the final.
So the final results of Heat 2, Trell Kimmons does win it in 6.60 seconds. Look at Doc Patton, 34 years old, still a part of the game. He finishes in second. And here are the 8 who have advanced to the final, which will be contested a little bit later. And you see some of the names there, some new, some old, and they'll be on the track a little bit later. Coming up next, the heats in the women's 60-meter dash. Will the table be set for an early showdown in the USA versus Jamaica rivalry? Allison Felix and Veronica Campbell-Brown on the track when we come back to Fayetteville. Back at the University of Arkansas, the Randall Tyson Track Center, where there has been lots of success over the years. 40 national championships, 19 indoor, 10 outdoor, 11 cross-country titles, all in the John McDonnell era, and you can't forget about some of the other great coaches who are now carrying on the great tradition here. And now down on the track, the Visa Women's 60-meter dash. This is Heat 1. A quick look at some of those records that may come into attention. Maybe the 2012 best could be approached later. But Veronica Campbell-Brown, a lady who knows a little bit about records. As a matter of fact, she spent 1 year as a Razorback back in 2004. And what did she accomplish in 1 year? Well, she was the NCAA indoor champion at 200 meters, named an All-American 4 times, captured 3 SEC titles in that season. Oh, and by the way, she set 6 University of Arkansas records. Many of them still stand today, Otto.
Yeah, and what a great career she has had. You would think that Bolt has been the most successful Jamaican sprinter ever. You would be wrong. The young lady on your screen has the best collection of medals for Jamaica. And right next to her, there is Muna Lee, who would have run here quite a bit as she went to the university, to LSU. But she made the Olympic team, the last 2 Olympic teams for the United States at 200 meters in 04 and 08. And here's the young lady, the Grande Dame on the outside, stirrup, 40 years of age from the Bahamas. And she won the Olympic gold with the Golden Girls of the Bahamas back in 2000 in Sydney.
If you're 40, you ought to stand up for this one. This is amazing to see her out here, standing next to an excellent field in this first heat of the women's 60, with Veronica Campbell-Brown right in the middle of the track in lane 4.
And I'm surprised to still see Veronica Campbell-Brown running, because in 2011, she ran 1 race in New York, blew away the field, and we never saw her again in the indoor season. Well, she did the same thing this year at 50 meters, but yet here she is. So clearly she's feeling good, and her coach wants to keep her in the competitive mode.
Top 4 advance to the final. And a fair start. Veronica Campbell-Brown did not get away well, but now the acceleration in the middle of the track so fluid. And Campbell-Brown with a nice second half of the race. They'll probably want to work on that first step, because Tiana Madison was really out there in the blue, and she wins it. You see the emotion there. 7.05 seconds unofficially. VCB finishing in second. But what did you see in the first few steps of that race?
Well, I can tell you what, this young lady is known more as a long jumper, Tiana Madison, formerly of the University of Tennessee. What a start. She just startled the rest of the field. Look at her on the outside on the left. I mean, she just got away from this field, and they were never able to get back to her. She's going to have to start thinking seriously about what she wants to run both indoors and out, because with a start and some acceleration like that, she has to be looking at competing more in this sprint event. This was a masterful race. 7.05 is one of the fastest times in the world this year, and she puts VCB into second with 7.18. Veronica Campbell-Brown did not react well to the gun. She did do a good job of closing, but no one was catching Tiana Madison on the outside and the left.
And so Tiana Madison has gone from the sprints over to the long jump pit, catches a high five from Hylias Fountain, and she will now focus her attention there. But she does win that Heat 1, 7:05, VCB second, 7:18, and Asumnu in third, Alex Anderson fourth. Rivalry Week concludes with a Big Monday doubleheader on ESPN. At 7 Eastern, number 2 Syracuse takes on 23rd ranked Louisville. And at 9 Eastern, number 10 Kansas takes on in-state rival Kansas State. Big Monday presented by Bud Light as a part of Rivalry Week on ESPN, ESPN3, and also streaming live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. And next up on the track, Allyson Felix in the heats of the women's 60-meter dash. And Otto, she has had an incredible career.
Yeah, but last year was the first time since 2003, Lewis, that she left the World Championships without individual gold.
And earlier, Dan O'Brien caught up with Felix just after she arrived here today.
Allyson, your first competition of the season. What do you expect here early on?
I'm not sure exactly what to expect, but it's all about just improving my start. You know, it's a stepping stone to trials and just have a little fun.
You know, you're one of the most versatile sprinters in the world. Are you ready to tell people you're going to run the 1-2-4? Are you going to run the 2-4? What are you going to do this season?
Well, not ready to decide anything until before trials. You know, I'm going to train as if I'm going to do a double, but I'll see.
You know, the rivalry is something that we always love to focus on, you and Veronica Campbell-Brown. She probably is a little better than you at this distance. What do you expect to gain from racing her today?
It's always fun to race her. Just really about improving my start. You know, she's fabulous in this area, and so I'm just trying to do a little better.
Joanna Hayes is back on the track. What do you think about that?
Oh, a lot of fun. You know, she's my close friend. I'm excited to see her out there. I know she's going to have fun.
All right, thanks.
All right.
So Allyson Felix now back live on the track as she gets her final thoughts together. The 3-time world champion at 200 meters. Is this a fair fight?
Well, it really is not. In the same way that you'll never see Veronica Campbell-Brown running too many 400s. Allyson Felix has not run this event in over 6 years, and she is not known as one of the better starters in the world. So this is really an uphill climb for her. And here's a young lady who had a fantastic run in Boston from the Ivory Coast. 7.09 personal best, but what a great run she had down that 60-meter track in Boston as she took the win a week ago. Great starter, great accelerator.
And a take a look at the field. And we see lane 8 is empty. Allyson Felix will be in the middle of the track in 5, and Ohuri, as you mentioned, in 6, just to her right.
And with all the talk about the Veronica Campbell-Brown, Allyson Felix showdown, make no mistake about it, Allyson Felix has to get out of this heat, because sometimes she can have the kind of start where if she does not react well and get out with the rest of this field, it simply is not enough time to recover. And we saw Veronica Campbell-Brown get out poorly and then recover. Allyson Felix doesn't quite have that kind of acceleration. So a lot of nerves here, I think, for Allyson, because she knows that she has to have almost a perfect race to qualify for the final to meet VCB.
And top 4 will do just that. And a fair start in this second heat, and Allyson Felix are at a deficit, but look at Ohuri, and now Felix coming back, really showing some moxie there. That's a nice close by Allyson Felix, who's got the longer legs and really known more for her 200-meter sprinting.
It really was a great job of Allyson Felix of not letting the field get away from her. She didn't have a good start, but she doesn't have to have the best start. Ohuri, second from the left, had the best start. But watch Allyson Felix just take her time and let the speed come out, and almost catches Ohuri on the line. 7:08 for Ohuri in first, and then Felix in second in 7:10. This is a very good job of patience, and her confidence has to be very good as she heads to this women's 60-meter final. Look at Allyson Felix track down Ohuri and just know, okay, I don't have to catch her, just have to get to the final, and she's down with Dan.
All right, Allyson, you just had to get to the final. You talked about your start earlier. What did you think of your start?
I think it's coming along, you know. I just have to be patient with it and keep at it.
You didn't let them get away. It wasn't maybe the start you wanted, but Ohuri got out. You didn't let her get away. Gave you a chance at the end.
Yeah, just try to stay in contact. Hopefully I can put my start together a little bit better in the final.
All right, good luck.
All right, thank you.
All right, Allyson showing some moxie there in this short sprint. Ohuri does get the best of her in this qualifying heat, but she'll be on to the final. Allyson Felix in second, Kia Brookings in third, and Lakia Brookings in third, and Jenny Tarmo in fourth. And these are the finalists. And now we have the matchup, Veronica Campbell-Brown and Allyson Felix, USA versus Jamaica in the women's 60-meter dash. And still to come, Olympic champion Dawn Harper preparing to defend her 100-meter title in London. She'll be on the track in the women's 60 hurdles a little later. Tonight, ESPN has more NBA action. At 7 Eastern, the Heat face the Hawks. And at 9:30 Eastern, it's the Jazz and the Grizzlies. The NBA on ESPN and ESPN3. Well, let's check in on our first event and the men's shot put as we take a look at the records. And also a look at this field today. And to take us through it, here's Dan O'Brien.
Well, only 4 throws for this small field of shot putters. This is what you're getting to the indoor circuit. This is Justin Rhodey. Took 3 rounds to materialize a leader, but he put one out to 68 8 3/4 and became our early leader. 68 8 3/4. Little handshake to Dylan Armstrong. Ryan Whiting won 2 weeks ago at Madison Square Garden. And in the 3rd round, he puts one out over the 70-foot line, 70 feet 3 3/4 He takes the lead in the 3rd round. And that's as much celebration as you're going to get from Ryan Whiting. 1 fist pump, and he's out. Canadian champion and world silver medalist at last year's World Championships, Dylan Armstrong. A little bit out of form early on in the season, goes out to 67 8 1/4 after a shaky start to wind up in 3rd position. Ryan Whiting wins for the 2nd time in 3 weeks, moving his way up the leaderboard in the Visa Championship standings.
And Dan, he does take the victory here, 70 feet 3 3/4 to follow up that New York win 2 weeks ago with a victory here in Arkansas. And the happy winner in the men's shot put here in Fayetteville, making great steps in this 2012 season. And coming up next, Dawn Harper takes on a strong field in the women's 60-meter hurdles. Early steps in her quest to repeat as Olympic champion. And we're back in Fayetteville, Arkansas as the USA Track and Field Classic continues from the University of Arkansas, the Randall Tyson track facility. And next on the track, the Nike Women's 60 Hurdle Finals. A look at the records. Lolo Jones has the best time in 2012, 7.89 seconds. Will that be challenged here on this fast track? An excellent field, and let's meet everybody starting in lane 1. This is Tania Jones, competed here many times during her collegiate career at LSU. A runner-up here last year's SEC championship with a best of 8.16 indoors. Nikita Holder of Canada, finalist in the 100-meter hurdles at last year's World Outdoor Championships, finished 6th in Daegu, running a personal best of 8.2 seconds in a meet in Toronto a few weeks ago. Joanna Hayes, 35 years old, the 2004 reigning Olympic champion in the 100 hurdles, hasn't competed since 2008. Can she make it back to the Olympic Games? And Dawn Harper, here is the reigning Olympic champion, pulled off one of the biggest upsets at the Olympic Games in Beijing, bronze medalist in the 100-meter hurdles at last year's World Championships. Michelle Perry, now 32, gold medalist in the 100-meter hurdles at the 2005 and 2007 World Outdoor Championships, but hasn't competed since 2009, her first race in 6 years. And Jenny Crawford, former USA Trojan, won 2 indoor titles on this track back in 2005, 2006. Ran a personal best of 7.84. That was back in 2006, and that's the facility record. And Felicia George of Canada, finalist in the 100-meter hurdles at last year's World Outdoor Championships, finished 7th in Daegu, and recently ran a personal best up in Canada. And Hylias Fountain, the silver medalist in the heptathlon at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. One of the best events is the hurdles, doing double duty here, also competing in the long jump.
And for Dawn Harper, this must look like practice because she has a lot of her training mates in the lanes adjacent to her. Reigning Olympic champion, so she has to start thinking about her defense of that title. But of course, if you're an American hurdler, you have to think about the Olympic trials as well. A lot of these women will be facing her in Eugene in a couple months.
It's amazing what the Olympic year will do. You have people who've been there a long time ago and now coming back trying to test the legs. And of course, everyone wanting to put a mark up on the world scene to say, hey, I'm here. So to see a Michelle Perry, Joanna Hayes back in the game. Of course, Jenny Crawford. Eilise Fountain getting some work in for the heptathlon. The Nike Women's 60 hurdle finals. False start rule is in effect. And a fair start. And Jenny Crawford running well. And look at Dawn Harper there flailing toward the end to try and catch her up. But Jenny Crawford, the 28-year-old, with an excellent run. And finishing unofficially at 7.97 seconds.
And that's a seasonal best for her, and that's why she looks so happy with it. Dawn Harper did not get off to a particularly good start. She came on, though, for second in 8.03. But look at Jenny Crawford, third from the left. Quickest out of the blocks, and then did not give back the advantage that she sees early. Look at a nice move on the outside by Dawn Harper, but just comes up short as Crawford is able to break that magic 8-second barrier for 7.97. The reigning Olympic champion, 8.03 for second, and Felicia George of Canada, 8.16 for third. Crawford is with Dan O'Brien.
All right, I'm here with a happy couple. This was like a training session for you guys. Half that field was who you line up with every day in practice.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. Bobby Kersey told us, come out here and focus on you, but we need to see where you are training group-wise.
Jenny, you got a great start, and didn't look like you were peeking over your shoulder or anything. You were running for your life out there. Tell me about the race.
I was running for my life, and I felt like I got out good, and I was just concentrating on sprinting, and I did see her in my peripheral. And we 1, 2, 3 and dove for that line.
You know, Bob Kersey said to me the other night, he says, I put enough girls in the race, I'm going to get a gold medal out of one of you.
That's what's going to happen. Oh, yeah, definitely. Too many, high-caliber girls to not get a gold.
All right, congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
And one more look at the start, Otto.
Yeah, and you know, Jenny Crawford has always been able to start well. And against her training mates today, she was able to get the better of them, and that was the difference this evening in Fayetteville. You see her stumble a little bit to the left. She's third from the left of picture. But such a strong athlete that Dawn Harper was not able to catch her before 60 meters came.
And so the final results, Jenny Crawford does win it in 7.97 seconds. Dawn Harper in second. And excellent running by Harper. And Crawford looking forward to a big 2012. And we're back in Arkansas. Time to catch up on some of the field event action. The women's shot put. A quick look at the records and the field here today. And the ladies throw that 8.8-pound shot put around like a rag doll, but don't be fooled. This is not a girly event. Jill Camarena Williams won bronze at the last World Championships, and Michelle Carter is looking to make her second Olympic team. And both are the subject of our Nike Athlete Insight.
My name is Jillian Camarena Williams, and I hope to be the first gold medalist by the United States in the women's shot put.
My name is Michelle Carter, and I hope to be the gold medalist in the Olympics and American record holder.
Looking at the men and how well they've done, it's helped me really know that I could get to that level. For us, it's so exciting to watch them. It's brand new. We get to watch them compete and see how they do it.
They're an amazing group. I mean, we have 4 guys, about to be 5, that could just win at any moment.
It's always good to have someone pushing you that's close by that you're going to see a lot. Every day I'm thinking about Michelle, thinking what she's doing. If I'm slacking off, what is Michelle doing? All right, I better start working harder.
Seriously, do you really think about what I'm doing at practice?
I do. I think a lot about what you're doing.
And any day, we don't know what could happen when we compete against each other. On the days when I don't want to go outside and practice, I'm like, well, Jill probably practicing today.
If you're struggling and you need to hit, a certain mark that day, or you just need a little bit extra motivation that day, you put a cone out and be like, all right, here's Michelle's mark. It's always friendly and it's always, hey, how's it going? But at the end of the day, we want to beat each other, obviously.
Last year was a great year. I had some great performances, I had a great season, but I know I can do more, and that's kind of what I focus on. I hope we can like continue to do that and show other girls that this is possible and you can do this.
And I think if you guys keep watching, you'll see both of us breaking it this year. So you make sure you're watching us because you're going to get some American records out of both of us.
That's true.
All right, Dan O'Brien, take us through the highlights.
Well, this was pretty much a two-woman show in the second round. Michelle Carter in that patented glide technique that she learned so well from her dad. 1984 silver medalist Michael Carter puts it out to 62 feet, 7 3/4 of an inch. Next, we get a good look at JCW, Jill Camarina Williams in the second row. She blasts one out there, almost to the 65-foot line, 64.6 1/2. And in the third round, again, she doesn't waste any time to keep the pressure on her opponents. She spins out to 65, 3 1/4 inches. And if this stands up, it would be a new American record. They have to get out the steel tape to measure it. But she said she was ready for a new American record. They got the steel tape out, and it was a new American record, 65 feet, 3 1/4 inches in only her second meet of the season. Carter had one more chance to match her. She just couldn't quite do it. 62 feet, 5 3/4 inches for Carter. Camarina Williams gets the best of this rivalry today. She's working as a volunteer assistant at the University of Arizona right now, and she and Craig Carter knew they were ready for an American record.
And so the final results, Jill Camarina Williams wins, Michelle Carter in second, and afterwards, Dan caught up with her.
All right, I'm here with that friendly rivalry we talked about. Let's start with you, Jill. Great competition today. An American record after a fantastic season last year, an American record. How do you get better every week?
You know, I was hoping for a little bit more today. I've been training really well. We changed up my cycle a little bit this week, but, you know, to come out here and improve on the American record, I'll take that any day.
Michelle, you seem like you're chasing her constantly. What's it going to take to beat her?
I'm just going to continue to work hard. I mean, she had a great meet today, and I expect her to throw well indoors, and this is a good outdoor meet for me, indoor meet for me, so I'm excited. So we're going to keep working hard and see if we can catch up with her by in 2 weeks. Yeah, in 2 weeks.
You guys talked about pushing each other on a daily basis in workouts. You know, what is it like to be in that rivalry?
It's fun. I mean, to have someone that is on American soil that you can see often, it helps us get better, and it makes us where we are today, where we're top in the world. So I thank her every day to push me. And, you know, when she got that 62 in round 2, I knew I had to step up. So it's a lot of fun having her to compete with.
It's got to be fun for you as well.
It is. It is.
All right. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
So Camarina Williams and Michelle Carter, all hugs and kisses for now, but both after big things at the U.S. Olympic trials and the big stage in London later this year. Big Monday features a pair of women's college basketball games on ESPN2. At 7 Eastern, number 11 Tennessee hosts number 7th ranked Kentucky. This game is also available in spectacular ESPN 3D. Then at 9 Eastern, it's number 3 Connecticut at Oklahoma. Big Monday presented by Bud Light as a part of Play for K and Rivalry Week on ESPN2, ESPN3, and also streaming live on ESPN.com and Watch ESPN app. And next on the track, the college men's 4x400 meter relay. Florida holding the NCAA record set back in 2005. And we had a late scratch. Penn State is out, and so the 3 teams contesting this relay: Arkansas, LSU, and South Plains. Look at the fields. Of course, the first 2 lanes are open. 2 laps of the track for each competitor, and they'll pass the stick to keep the 4x400 meter relay going. And really a great advantage, Otto, running on this 200 meter perfectly banked track inside this facility. Considered, again, one of the fastest in the world.
Well, we saw Karani James run the world's fastest time. This is, I think, the fastest oval 400 meter sprinting. LSU has the outdoor record in this event.
Set. And a fair start in this college men's 4x4, and just like with the ladies, we expect to hear a lot of cheering from these college athletes who have packed the building here at the Randall Tyson Indoor Track Facility.
And that's Simmons for LSU, asked to handle the leadoff duties. Marek Neat of Arkansas, though, in the lead as they head into the final lap of this first leg.
And a big lead early on for Marek Neat of Arkansas.
You think he's being cheered on a lot by the home fans? This is a little bit of a home field advantage here. Arkansas with the early lead.
And don't think that Robert Simmons of LSU is not going to hear about it if he doesn't do something, especially after the ladies did so well. So Neat of Arkansas with a very strong lead. Coming up for the first exchange, Arkansas holds the lead. South Plains now. Alistair Muna has the stick. And for LSU, it's Riker Hilton.
And wow, LSU really struggling thus far, about halfway through this mile relay. And Arkansas seizing the fact that they are in their home building. They are running like the favorites.
Hakeem Gauntlet for Arkansas moves to the outside of that lane one. Smart as you move into the curve. Dropping down now is Alistair Muna of South Plains tries to turn it on. Again, LSU strains to see them struggling. Hilton trying to make a move now as LSU moves into second.
And Riker Hilton, the Jamaican, has done the right thing. He has been patient, and now look at him trying to challenge for the lead, but LSU will be in second as they hand off.
So Gauntlet of Arkansas hands it off to Ben Skidmore. They continue to hold the lead. LSU has now moved into second with Ade Forte. I think you may know him, Otto. He is now in second. As South Plains has slipped back into third with Vernon Norwood on that leg.
And I can see Forte thinking, okay, when is he going to come back to me so I can make the move? The answer is he's not really giving any of this lead back. Look, the lead is extending now. Look at this lead by Arkansas. This is a bit of an upset here, Lewis.
Well, you may think there's a bit of home court advantage as you hear the calls of Pig Suey throughout the building.
This is called running over your head. Look at the lead as Arkansas hands to the anchors.
And so Skidmore with an excellent leg for the Razorbacks. Passes it off to Neil Brady. LSU now trying to make up the distance with Caleb Williams on the anchor. And Braun Toplin for South Plains is really trying to hold on for third.
And Arkansas is not giving back this lead. Bell lap, 1 lap to go, less than 200 meters, and Arkansas on cruise control with a huge lead. Listen to that home crowd.
The Razorbacks of Arkansas in the college men's 4x4 turn the corner for home. And the message is, not in my house.
And that's a very good time, too. 3:03.72. They have to be thrilled about that performance in their home building.
Neil Brady with an excellent anchor leg, but really it was the entire team who took it to the rest of this field, LSU and South Plains, from the gun.
And here is LSU's move on that second leg as Riker Hilton tried to get LSU back up into contention, but it was Gauntlet of Arkansas who handed off to third in the lead. This is third leg, and Arkansas just refused to hand that lead back. And LSU had to be thinking, at what point are they going to come back? As Forte continued in vain to try to close the game, to close that gap, and then look at the expression as Arkansas and Neil Brady, as the happy coaches react.
And so Dan is down with the winning Razorbacks.
All right, guys, I had a quick talk with your coach earlier. He said, get my guys. They're going to run fast today. Ben, you're the senior on the squad here. Tell me about that run.
We just gave it all we had. We've had a great weekend. It's just time to had to bring it home.
You know, the anchor leg, it looked like the race was in doubt until the anchor leg. He didn't give anything back. Tell us about that effort.
Well, he's a young gun, so, you know, you always got to give it to the young gun on the end. Got to put faith in your guys, and he did what he had to do, so.
It's a school record on a track this size, 3:03.76.
3:03.76.
All right, congratulations, guys. I think the crowd needs another Pig Suey.
Big Suey, baby, yeah.
And they'll have a couple of Pig Sueys after a run like that. Arkansas wins at 3:03.76. What a statement they made. South Plains in second and LSU in third. That's a surprise.
That's good. Fellas?
Galen Rupp is preparing for the 10,000, 5,000 double at the London Olympics this summer. And coming up next, he attacks the American record in the 2-mile on one of the fastest indoor tracks in the world. And we're back in Fayetteville, Arkansas. We've heard a lot of Pig Suey here so far today, as the Razorbacks having a great time, not only competing, but hosting this USA Track and Field Classic inside the Randall Tyson Track Center. And next on the track, the Nike men's 2-mile. You see the American record, 8:10:07, held by Bernard Lagat, set back in 2007. We're going to keep a very close eye on that time as the race develops. As we look at the field, a small field, but one that could have an impact, and especially with the man, Galen Rupp. There is Rupp, regained the American indoor record for 5,000 meters last year in Birmingham, England. He broke Bernard Lagat's record by 6/100ths of a second. Now he's trying to take down Lagat's American record for 2 miles. Finished third in Boston in the mile last week, running 3:57:10. And this 2-mile race is underway here in Fayetteville.
And Lewis, I think right from the start, you're going to see Craig Miller, former University of Wisconsin All-American, sub-4-minute miler, really take the tempo out hard. He's looking, Rupp's looking for a 4:06 first mile, so this is going to string out really fast. I think those guys in the second pack are going to have to chase a little bit and hope Rupp falls off. But I'm really thinking that after running 3:57, that he can do some damage and get really close to that American record tonight if he's on.
You have to think that that fast mile last week, as you see Alberto Salazar there on the inside of the track with the black hat, that's his coach, giving him specific splits. But you got to believe that that mile he ran last week was a setup to this, maybe a bit of a slower tempo, but carrying it over 2 miles to assault this record. It's right now held by Bernard Lagat. Galen Rupp, the 2008 Olympian, finished 13th in the 10,000 meters in Beijing. And as this Olympic season develops in 2012, now tucked into second behind the Rabbit, Craig Miller. Rupp has his eye on the 10K again and may double back to the 5,000, but that, of course, depends on what happens in that first race. So everything that he and his coach Alberto Salazar are doing is calculated as they move toward the Olympic trials later in the summer and then, of course, the games.
And as Alberto would tell you, I mean, this is an early season 2-mile race for him. Yes, they want to break the American record, but the most important goal is the Olympic Games and running really well and trying to get that medal in London.
You hear Salazar barking out the times. And Galen Rupp talked to us about a recent record that has really given him a lot of confidence.
You know, breaking the American record last year was huge for my confidence in the 10,000 meters. It's something that I looked to try to do ever since graduating from college and had been a goal of mine for a really long time. And so to finally be able to do it and, you know, to run a time like that, you know, I know now that even at my best, I'm not too far off from some of the top African runners who were running more or less the same time.
And I think that's the key. I mean, he's not intimidated anymore. I mean, when he goes over to Europe, he's not going over there to finish in the top 10 or to finish in the top 5. He's going over there to win, and they've taken notice. I mean, the world knows about Galen Rupp. I mean, this guy's the real deal.
Rupp tucked comfortably behind Craig Miller, who is doing the pacemaking duties here. Again, this 200-meter bank track is so much different than what we saw in New York the first weekend, that small, tight track in the Garden. 200-meter bank track last week in Boston, but this is the one that really gives every athlete from the 200 to the 400 up to the 2-mile confidence that they can run fast, and that's why Galen Rupp has chosen this facility to take a shot at this American record in the 2 miles. So Miller continues to hold the pacemaking lead, followed by Rupp. I mean, he's right there. You see the grimace on Alberto Salazar's face. He is so intense. Rupp there in second, Bumbalo in third, Rono, Ritchie, Pfeiffer, and Coe. But really now the story is this front pack with Miller continuing to lead, and we'll look for that mile split coming up soon. And look at how relaxed Galen Rupp looks. And we found out earlier today that he does have a bit of a head cold, but he was going to come out here anyway, no matter what, and take a shot at this record and also honor Jeff Hollister of Nike, the gentleman who passed away. We talked about him earlier. This is part of his tribute as well. What are you seeing early on here?
I just know Rupp is really, really tough. I mean, you mentioned the cold, but we've seen him compete over the years, and the guy, since basically he put on a pair of spikes in 2002, 2003 at Catholic Central High School in Portland, Oregon, he's been tough. He's been in the record-setting scene his whole career, so this is just another instance of him, you know, pulling it all together. Alberto would not have put him on the track unless he thought he could put on one heck of a performance. And as we see in third, Andrew Bumbalo, I mean, he's trying to hang in there and get a great time, too. Just went through the mile in about 4:10, so, you know, they're off pace a little bit. He's going to have to really do something, but he's so fast. I mean, Alberto and I talked about it. He's run 150 for 800 meters on top of a 26:48 10,000 meters, so he can do some special things over the last 800 meters as well.
So as he continues, we'll take a step back and look at college basketball. Rivalry week concludes with a big Monday doubleheader on ESPN. At 7 Eastern, number 2 Syracuse takes on 23rd ranked Louisville. And at 9 Eastern, number 10 Kansas takes on in-state rival Kansas State. Big Monday presented by Bud Light as part of Rivalry Week on ESPN, ESPN3, and also streaming live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. Inside the Randall Tyson indoor track facility here at the University of Arkansas. The U.S. Track and Field Open continues here with the 2-mile. And Galen Rupp, who has now shed the pacemaker, Craig Miller, just about 4 seconds off his intended mile split of 4:06, just about 4:10. And just a moment ago, he did step away. As we see, moving to the outside, which is exactly the way a pacemaker should do it. And Galen Rupp picks it up and really continues to move on, trying to best the American record of 8:10:07. And look at his coach. Listen to this. And so they're running splits, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, he's trying to run 30.5s for every 200, and they've went over this over and over in the game plan. And Galen's trying, but right now it's difficult. Maybe the cold's wearing on him a little bit. He's off the pace. Pace setter, you know, came through about 2 seconds, 3 seconds off, so he's got some serious work to do to get that record.
Now the win is not in question here, and he's going to get a lift from the crowd as he continues to move along, coming up on 4 laps to go. But we know that Galen Rupp did contract a bit of a head cold when training at altitude, as a sinus infection. But again, that's part of to test the mettle of what could happen anywhere at the Olympic trials or the games. You still have to come out and compete.
I believe he came out with 800 to go. I mean, he needs about a 2 flat last 800 to get the record. So he's definitely has a chance. I saw the guy close in sub 3 minutes for his last 1200 at the U.S. Championships this year. So he can get after it. He's going to start to smell it here in a second, and he's going to take off.
Alberto Salazar giving him the barking command. It's almost as though he's in his body, trying to carry him and will him to this American record. 8:10:07 is what he needs to break Bernard Lagat's mark, set back in February of 2011 at the New York Armory. Now, as you examine the body language, Todd, what are you seeing here as they try and bring him around? Coming up on 2 laps to go, what do you see?
I mean, basically, this is all about practice. This is training. This is what this guy puts himself through every single day in training, is to perform on a level at this stage to try to break American records and pretty soon going after world records. He's going to dig down deep. He's used to this pain. He just needs to push it to the next level. He needs about a 58-second last 400 to break the record.
Galen Rupp now beginning to lap members of the field as he comes into the home straightaway. Everyone in this facility is on their feet, and here's the bell.
He needs about a 30-second last 200 to break the American record. I think the guys in front of him are going to actually help him now. They got to scoot out. He's going to use them to go down the backstretch and push as hard as he can to get that 8:10:07 off the record books.
Galen Rupp now moving through the inside, trying to use the other athletes as pacemakers. Takes the home straightaway, looking for 8:10:07. Knees high, arms pumping, to the line.
He's got it.
And he's got the American record.
2-mile record. Wow. What a performance. What a performance.
And look at the reaction of his coach, Alberto Salazar, who was right there trackside throughout the entire run. Another day at the office for these two. Let's go through the last half lap, Todd.
And this is what he's thinking. He's thinking all the work, all the time that I put in on the track, doing the speed work, doing the hard tempo runs. I'm up at altitude. I've got to dig. And you could see with about 200 to go that he knew what he needed to run, and he just dug down deep to get the record. What an absolutely amazing performance here tonight.
Well, Galen Rupp here with the cold, the sinus infection, needed that 32nd lap to finish it up and was able to dig down deep. Wearing the singlet honoring his fallen friend from Nike, Jeff Hollister, really does pay homage to his life with a tremendous performance under duress and American reaction. And what about the coach? What do you think? And so now the final results for this 2 mile. Galen Rupp with a new American record. Finishes at 8:09.72. That's the new mark. Andrew Bumbalough in second. Aaron Rono in third. And so the team of Salazar and Rupp celebrate in Fayetteville with a new American record. And back in Fayetteville, Arkansas, where Galen Rupp has just brought down the house with a new American record. A look at his final strides here in the Fayetteville Indoor Track and Field facility, and he really poured it on, running a 32nd last lap, toughing it out, and the crowd here responded as he came to the line. Rupp looked over and saw new American record in the 2 mile. And the reaction from his coach, Alberto Salazar, who's been with him every step of the way, literally. They celebrate on the track this new record and get a chance to stand back by the board. Here's a moment you always want to remember in your career. And now he's down with Dan.
All right, a couple of happy Oregonians here. I'm here with Alberto Salazar and, of course, Galen Rupp. I hear you guys talking about splits. Was he where he needed to be with 1 mile to go?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the plan was to come through in 4:06 at the mile and try and run the second mile a little bit faster. And we think negative splitting is the way to go. And he was right on. He was about 4:06.8 at the first mile, and then he came back in about 4:03, so right according to plan.
Was there any doubt with about 800 meters to go that he was going to get the record?
You know, I wasn't sure. You know, Galen woke up sick yesterday. He's got a real bad sinus infection. He's on antibiotics. I was trying to get him into emergency room today to get him to drain his sinuses. And so, you know, he was going to go for the record no matter what. We owe it to Jeff Hollister, you know, one of the greatest guys we've ever known at Nike. So for the race, we talked about it, and we just said, you know what? Jeff isn't going to care whether you get the record or not. All he's going to care about is that you give it 110%. So, you know, he was just going to go for it, and if he died, he died, but he wasn't going to not go for it.
Galen, you wear the commemorative uniform for Jeff Hollister. What did it mean for you to go for that record today?
It meant a lot. You know, Jeff Hollister is a guy that did so much for this sport, you know, from getting funding for running groups early on and just promoting the hell out of it all the way through. And, you know, Alberto told me beforehand, you know, you got to do this for Jeff. And like he said, it was just all about effort. You know, that's what Jeff would have wanted and what he would have cared about most.
How difficult was that last quarter mile all alone?
It was tough. You know, I was having doubts too. I don't know if Alberto might have had him or not, but, you know, I was hoping. And I just told myself, put my head down, use my arms as much as I can, and, you know, go for the victory.
All right, congratulations, guys.
All right, thanks a lot.
Well, this tandem of Salazar and Rupp really turned on something special here as Galen Rupp was able to close strong and take down this American record. A successful day here as he honors his friend Jeff Hollister. And this is a scene that will play back in his career, a moment he'll remember for a long time in this road to the London Olympics. So Galen Rupp wins it in a new American record and an excellent moment. Great memories here in Fayetteville. And tonight, ESPN has more NBA action. At 7 Eastern, the Heat face the Hawks. And at 9:30 Eastern, it's the Jazz and the Grizzlies. The NBA on ESPN, ESPN3, and also streaming live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. And so I guess we'll have to catch our breath just a little bit after that tremendous 2-mile American record by Galen Rupp. Now ready for the sprints, the men's 60-meter final. And let's meet all 8 in this final. Starting in lane 1, Gerald Theory.
And Theory has a personal best of 6.59. Good starter, but didn't look as good in the semifinal. Throw all of that out. Everybody gets a clean slate here in the final.
In lane 2 is Justin Gatlin.
And he started well, reacted well to the gun in the semifinal round, but then gave up some ground to Richard Thompson at the end.
In lane 3, Lerone Clark.
And you can always tell where he is by his gloves. The Commonwealth Games champion at 100 meters, a good starter as well. His problems come at the end. If he has a chance to win here, he has to have a good second half of the race.
Lane 4 in this 60-meter final, Richard Thompson.
Looking a little bigger this year, the Trinidad and Tobago star. Olympic silver medalist, and based on his semifinal run, I think he is considered a slight favorite in this final.
Lane 5, Trell Kimmins.
This is a guy who could give Thompson some problems with that monster start. Got a gold medal with the U.S. on the led off the relay in the 4x1 for the U.S. last year.
In lane 6, the veteran, Doc Patton.
And Doc Patton, such good credentials at 100 and 200, but in order to win this race, he has to have something that he has not shown in a couple years, a monster start and a great finish.
In lane 7, D'Angelo Cherry.
And D'Angelo Cherry, easily the shortest member of this final. 6:52 means that he has very, very good credentials at 60 meters indoors.
And rounding out the field in this men's 60, lane 8, Ivory Williams.
And Ivory Williams needs to have a better performance than he had in the semifinal round. This is a young man capable of 6.51 on his best day.
And so a chance for some of these sprinters to make an early statement about their starting ability, which is the biggest challenge in a short race, especially if you're an outdoor favorite. But Richard Thompson, what do you think he is thinking about right now in lane 4?
So much to prove. A lot of people have written him off because since he crossed that line second in Beijing, he has not won anything and did not make the final last year in the World Championships. That first race in the semifinal said to me that he is back, but now he has to defend it. Now the pressure comes on his back because everyone saw that race and knows Richard Thompson ran a very, very good race and could and should win here. 9.85 for a new 100-meter personal best by Thompson last year. But he didn't react well in the semifinals. Has to have a better reaction, control the race early if he wants to win.
And if any athlete false starts, they will be out of the race. And a fair start in his 60. Trell Kimmins in the orange has an excellent start. Here comes Lerone Clark in the blue, and Lerone Clark will take the win in the men's 60-meter dash.
And Thompson pulled up very, very early in this race. 6:51 for Lerone Clark. 6:52, in fact, it's been rounded up to now in the final for the win. Justin Gatlin up for second, the same time as Trell Kimmins, who finishes third. And such frustration for Richard Thompson, who reacted well but stood up very early for my money and then pulled up. And then Trell Kimmins seized the lead, but it was Lerone Clark in the gloves at the end who was able to win this 60. There you see Richard Thompson all over the lane pulling up, and Lerone Clark in the blue, third from the right, gets the win, 6.52. And that is the fastest time in the world this year, so he will go back home very, very pleased with his run here in Fayetteville. Lerone Clark from Gatlin and Kimmins.
And down to Dan.
All right, Lerone. The prelims don't really mean anything, do they, when you line up in the finals?
Definitely, you know what I mean? You work hard to get in the finals, and once you get in the finals, it's, all goes,
Tell us about that. Tell us about that race.
I knew I could run fast. I wanted to open up with my PR. And that's exactly what I did today, so I'm happy about that.
All right, you beat some big guys in that race.
Of course, they're good guys, good people to run against. I'm happy to have done it.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you, man, I appreciate it.
So the man with the gloves and the blue uniform comes into Fayetteville and wins the 60-meter final in 6.52 seconds. Justin Gatlin in second and Trell Kimmins in third. And a happy winner is Lerone Clark in Fayetteville. Back inside the Randall Tyson Track Center in Fayetteville, Arkansas, as the USA Track and Field Classic continues here on ESPN. Ready now for the women's long jump as we take a quick look at the records. The American record still held by Jackie Joyner-Kersee from way back in 1994. And a look at the field, including some strong names. You see Hialeah Fountain there, Tiana Madison, Janae DeLoach, and Dan O'Brien is here to take us through it.
Well, the women's long jump had some really exceptional athletes begin this competition. This is Janae DeLoach. She's a 2011 U.S. indoor champion. Really the only person that has put any kind of pressure on Brittany Reese over the last couple of years. In the second round, she jumps 22 feet, 5 inches. Not the best of landings, but 22.5 is a very respectable mark. After a big first foul over 23 feet, Brittany Reese responds a little bit with a jump of 21 feet, 9 3/4 inches. This moves her into second place. You can see she's a little disgusted. This is such a good place to long jump. And here we get a good look at Fumi Jimo, now coached by Al Joyner at the U.S. Olympic Training Center in San Diego, and this is her third attempt. Looking down at the board, she bounces out to 21 feet, 7 inches and moves into third position. Little glance down, she keeps her head down, just not quite getting the extension that she needs on the board. Little inspiration from Al Joyner, telling her to keep her head up. And in the fourth round, Bianca Stewart responds with a jump of 22 feet, 3.5 inches, and moves her into second position. With all eyes on Brittany Reese, looking for a big one. Her final jump, she was pressing all day. She couldn't find the board. She had a lot of big jumps today, but a foul for Reese on her final jump of the day. She couldn't find the board all day, giving Janae DeLoach another win over the world indoor and world outdoor champion.
And so the final results, Dan, Janae DeLoach does win it in 22 feet 5 inches, and after that, Dan caught up with her.
Well, I like surprises, and I think Janae likes surprises as well. You did it again. You beat the world champion, indoor world champion, outdoor world champion. How did you think you did today?
I did excellent. I did exactly what I came out to do. That was keep my average up and do what I can to win, and I did that.
You know, it looked like a lot of people were having trouble, you know, not fouling today. How did you like this surface?
Oh, I love this surface. It's similar to New Mexico where they hold the U.S. Championships, and this surface is fantastic.
Well, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So a happy winner, Janae DeLoach, winning the women's long jump here in Fayetteville. And excellent jumping here inside the facility. Coming up next, Allison Felix and Veronica Campbell-Brown square off in the 60-meter dash. And now on the track, the Visa women's 60-meter dash. As we take a look at the records, Laverne Jones-Ferret has the best in 2012, 7.08 seconds. You got to believe that that's in jeopardy here today. And so for the introduction of this field, let's go to PA announcer Paul Swangard.
Now the final of the Visa women's 60 meters. In lane 1, member of the Team USA that competed last year in Daegu at the World Outdoor Championships. Set a personal best of 7:22 in the preliminary rounds, Jedaba Tarbo. In lane 2, a two-time NCAA indoor 60-meter champion, tied the collegiate record of 7:09 last year, Lakeia Brookins. In lane 3, a three-time world outdoor champion at 200 meters. She set her new personal best of 7:10 in the preliminary rounds. It's Allison Felix. In lane 4, set the world's fastest time at this distance this year in 2012 in the prelims with a mark of 7:05, the 2005 world long jump champion. This is Tiana Madison. In lane 5, also bettered her personal best indoors in the prelims, a new national record for the Ivory Coast. This is Muriel Ahure. And in lane 6, the reigning world indoor champion at 60 meters. Her personal best is 7 flat. Only 6 women have ever run faster. Was an All-American here at Arkansas. Welcome back, representing Jamaica, Veronica Campbell-Brown. Your field of 6 in the Visa women's 60
Well, I can tell you one thing, Lewis. I don't know how you win this race and not break 7 seconds. We have some talented women lining up for this final. And in case you think this young lady on your screen is the favorite, I don't know, because Ahure looked very, very good. And let's not forget the 2005 world champion, Tiana Madison.
And there is Ahure standing to the right of Campbell-Brown, and Allison Felix there collecting her thoughts. Had a really excellent qualifying run, was behind from the first step, but really closed well. And so this is going to be interesting as we take a look at the field. We've had some late scratches. Lanes 7 and 8 will be open, but the story, if it was 2 layers, I'd say Veronica Campbell-Brown in 6, Allison Felix in 3, of course, the USA versus Jamaica story, but then Ohure in 5.
Allison has to approach this race the same way she did the semifinal. You know they're going to get a first step. Everybody in this field is likely to get a step on her. Don't panic. They'll come back if you relax. There's Veronica Campbell-Brown. She probably starts as a slight favorite, but as I said, a lot of quality in this field.
And a fair start, and Ohure got away well. A stumble by Veronica Campbell-Brown, and Ohure pulling it well, but look out for Tiana Madison, who comes up with a late close. We didn't see that one coming.
Well, it's not quite sub-7, but it is the fastest time in the world, eclipsing her own mark, as Veronica Campbell-Brown has to settle for second, and Ohure hangs on for third. Allison Felix fourth in 7:11. But what can you say about Tiana Madison, who we know can sprint, but has not had a year like this in quite some time? We talked about the fact that she has been a world champion long jumper in the past, but the way she looks, not only is she going to be a threat at the World Indoor Championships in Turkey at this distance, but she has to start seriously thinking about what she can do outdoors, because she was not only running well in the beginning, but pulling away at the end, as Veronica Campbell-Brown, who did not respond well to the gun on the extreme left, really left herself a lot of work and was not able to catch Tiana Madison.
I'm curious to know what you think. What happened to Ohure in 5?
Well, Ohure actually ran a pretty good race, but she got a little bit too caught up in the start of Madison, and that's why she only got third. But a very good race for her as well, as Madison sets the world's fastest time here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. This really was a good job. She's a little bit too upright with her head down, but you can't argue with the results. Look at her blow by everyone, and she's down with Dan.
Otto Bolden was criticizing your technique a little bit, but he said you certainly can't argue with those results. Where did that come from?
I mean, we just train. That's why you train. And I didn't cut any corners this year. I'm looking forward to see what I can do at Nationals.
You opted not to long jump after the first round just because you felt so good? You want to save your energy?
Coach's call, and I trust him, so I just went with it.
Veronica, glad to have you back here in Fayetteville. Do you get nostalgic when you come back?
It is always great to come back here. I have so many memories on this track and in this town, so it is always an honor to come back here and compete.
You know, we only saw you run once indoors last year, and then we didn't see you till the outdoor season. What was the plan behind running more times here in the United States indoors this year?
Actually, this is just my second race, and it is just a part of my preparation for outdoors. It is very important here, and I just want to start early and try to position myself to make the Jamaica team in both 100 meter and 200 meter.
Allison, a couple of fine races for you. Did you get that start ironed out?
Not quite, but I'm excited. I'm so thrilled about this year, and you know, this is just working on it, and hopefully I can put things together this year.
All right, you know, it's just tough to talk to both of you guys without mentioning the rivalry, of course. You know, how important is that to the sport of track and field? I know you write about it in your website. How important is that to the sport of track and field?
It is very important. I believe that the more rivalry we have, it's the better we're going to compete, because we motivate and push each other, because I know Alice is working hard. So whenever I'm tired, I know I have to work. I can't sit there because I don't know what she's doing or my other competitors. So it is good for us. I think it is beneficial for all of us in the sport in general.
Allison, when are we going to see you run again?
I'm not sure. I think this is it for me indoors, but you know, just want to break out of all that training and come and have some fun.
All right, thank you, ladies.
All right, thanks.
All right, Dan, so Veronica Campbell-Brown and Allison Felix confirming that there is a rivalry, although not quite sure if this was a fair fight over such a short distance. But Tiana Madison, who really ran well, 7.02 seconds to win this 60-meter dash. Hugs from her competitors, but they'll duke it out soon again on the track. The USA Track and Field Classic has been brought to you by Nike and by Visa, proud sponsor of Team USA. More people go with Visa. And so it has been another great meet in this Visa Championship Series, and without question, the day belonged to Galen Rupp, who came to Fayetteville on a mission to set a new American record in the 2-mile, and he did just that. And with his coach, Alberto Salazar, by his side with the splits and plenty of emotion, and of course the memory of Jeff Hollister in Rupp's heart, he made history and took another big step toward the London Olympics. And so with that record performance, Rupp has taken the lead in the Visa Championship Series standing. On the men's side, Jen Schurer still holds the lead on the women's side. And around the track, tributes to the life and loss of Jeff Hollister continued even after the meet had concluded. And so that's all from Fayetteville for our entire crew. I'm Lewis Johnson. On February 26th, catch the USA Track and Field Indoor Championships on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern. Coming up next, it's women's college basketball. Play for K as part of Rivalry Week. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.